Hey folks, it's Mr. Rinaldi again. I just want to show you some things about really bringing our final project together, our assignment 5B. And this is assuming that you're working from 3B to 4B, 4B to 5B, and utilizing all of the same audio files. So one thing I did real quick, but right before I turned this on, was I faded in and I faded out my bookends. Meaning that the part of the tracks that are on the outside and protrude the furthest. And I did that by highlighting a section, not picking the whole track. And I go to Effect and I fade in to make the volume increase over time. You can see the waveform goes from the 0 crossing and gets louder over time. And I did the opposite on this side. I faded out. That's a pretty easy thing to do. We've already added the wah. You can see my envelope filter and how it gets. It has my amplitude kind of low over here, and it increases over time. Some other things we're going to want to do, if you go to your course, you want to go to your course and navigate to, not this part, assignment 5B, where it gives you all the project requirements. Now, this is a time saver. Mind you that we've met most of these requirements already, just based on completing projects 3B and 4B. So, there are a few other things we want to do. We already did wah-wah. We could do a phaser effect. How about we do that on the bass? That could be interesting. I haven't tried this yet, so let's see how that goes. So I've selected my bass track by double-clicking on it, and I'm now going to phaser in the effects menu, and let's just preview that. Well, actually, to preview that properly, you're really going to want to highlight the specific section of audio you want to hear. Otherwise, I'm going to hear the silence in the preview. So go into Effect one more time. I'm going to go down to Phaser. I'm going to preview that. This just creates a phased out copy of the wave. I like that. Was pretty good. So I'm going to keep that. That's pretty good. Actually, I should have done that to the whole thing. So I'm going to hit Control-Z, undo. Click my whole track and go at that bad boy one more time. Boom. So let's check that out. See how it works in our mix. There. So actually I'm going to do something not called for in the project. I'm going to grab my piano track, this kind of cool old-timey sounding thing we got right here. I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm just going to add it right to the end. So remember to do that, we double click on the section we want, we hit Control and C, hit my right arrow key to place my playhead at the end of this form right here, and then hit Control V. So I just made myself something kind of cool. And I'm going to do something else. I'm going to apply some reverb just to that one part at the end. So this is my G-verb unit right here. I'll preview that. It still has my settings from the last reverb that I've used, which was pretty damp, and the reverb time was brought way down. So I like that. I'm going to keep that. Nice. And I didn't have any clipping because I also have my show clipping thing option, whatever you want to call it, checked. It'll let me know with a big red line where the clipping is occurring. And I'm also going to fade this out over time. So I started fading out over here. I think I'm just going to do this right there. Effect, fade out. This is all on the fly, guys. Nice. And it ends very softly like that, so that's pretty good. You definitely want to EQ some of this stuff. Now, I would appreciate it if you guys used your own settings and kind of explored it, but you don't have to because we do have some stock settings. Treble cut's my favorite. Now remember, treble cutting something is always easier than adding more stuff. So I'm just going to kind of change this wave a little bit and preview that. And of course I have it, selected from the silent part at the beginning. Heck, we're just going to go with it. Nice. All right, and of course, it only plays to what I have selected. It's not going to go play the whole thing out. Or play me off Johnny, as you Family Guy fans say. So let's see if we met everything yet. I don't think so. Let's try another EQ also. Let's take this piano part, this whole thing. I'm gonna make it sound like it's coming out of an old radio, and that's another good preset down here. These are pre-selected pieces of, or I guess we call them presets. I guess they're already set up for you to use. They're aimed at making it sound like something specific. Some of you guys have a really cool one that's like an RCA Victrola old record player, but I'm gonna go with how about walkie-talkie? That's gonna sound pretty weird. Oh yeah, that's gonna sound weird. Here we go. Yeah, that old-timey sound. It's something I borrowed from one of our classmates, Mr. Dan. He had that cool project he did. He kind of applied some odd EQ, and it really gave his project a lot of character. So we're at 6 minutes, so we got a couple minutes left, so I can do a few more things to this. Remember, I doubled up my track over here, so that should my vocal track. So that should account for what I have to do in my mixing window. So view, mixer board, and remember that everything is all the volumes have been changed, or I should say the gains have been changed. Things have been panned left, right. And just for a good measure, I'm going to make sure I pan everything except for the drums. Typically, when you pan drums, you would have to record each drum individually with an individual mic and pan them separately. But I'm not afforded that luxury right now. And arbitrarily to the right. And then, of course, these two hard left and hard right. And I have to add my compressor onto something. So let's compress our drum track. It's really going to make it pounce. And actually, I'm going to select a real loud part in the middle. So when I preview it, I'm going to see the changes really happen. Let's preview that. Oh yeah. I'm going to go and do that in the whole thing. So I'm going to go back, select my whole track, effect. Hopefully this doesn't cause any clipping because I do not have my clipping tool, or declipper. And I'm just going to use this setting. Oh no, I got some clipping. That's what these red lines indicate if you have your show clipping checked. But for the sake of keeping this in under 10 minutes as YouTube demands of me, press forward. In retrospect, I wish I would have copied some of this and also played this out longer. That would have been cool. I think it would have really added to the track. And, of course, I would have messed up my compressor settings to get rid of this clipping. But if you guys have your declipping tool, just highlight it, go to Effects, under D, go to Declipping. I just don't have it installed on this copy. And I think there's one more thing left. I think it's something I should do to every project. I'm going to select all, Effects, and go to Normalize. It makes your highs higher, or your highs lower and your lows higher. And we're just going to go with the whole shebang. Make sure that worked. I'm going to try that one more time. It feels like it didn't quite do it. It's probably because the clipping is not working exactly how I want it to. Let's see what that did.